We are live. Hello and welcome to another live video with me. I am really excited that you're here with me today because I want to talk about self-care because a lot of people I know feel guilty. And I know that's because life has a way of keeping us busy, whether we're managing our work, whether we are looking after our endless family responsibilities, or everything in between. I know we find it really hard to find that time for ourselves, or actually to intentionally find that time, because we always have time. We just don't intentionally do it. And if you're a high achieving woman, the thought of taking time for yourself often comes with a heavy dose of guilt, as if prioritizing your own well-being means letting everyone else down. In fact, how often do you tell yourself, I'll rest later, only to find later never comes? You give everything of yourself to everyone else, to everything else, whether it's your work, your family, your commitments, and you leave nothing for yourself. But what if I told you that by making just one small, simple shift, you could show up stronger, more focused, and more present for the people and your responsibilities that matter most to you, including being more focused and intentional in the work that you do? So taking time for self-care isn't selfish or unnecessary. It's an investment in your well-being, in your success, and in your ability to handle life's demands with clarity, strength, focus, and calm. Because when you create that space for yourself without guilt, you're setting the stage for balance, focus, and energy that benefits not only you, but everyone in your life. Hello, I'm 𝗪𝗲𝗱𝘆, and I'm a self-care strategist who helps high-achieving women explore ways to design systems that align with their values. Together, we work on reclaiming time and energy so you can thrive in both your personal and professional lives while staying grounded in what truly matters most. Today, we're going to explore why guilt often creeps in when you think about making time for yourself, aka the real reason why we feel guilty when prioritizing self-care. We'll explore how reframing self-care can shift your mindset from selfish to essential, meaning how taking care of you is actually a way to improve everything that you do. And finally, we'll explore practical strategies to create space for yourself without sacrificing your responsibilities and keeping yourself accountable so that you do the things for yourself that you say you'll do. Today is really about you reflecting on, as you listen to me, reflecting on your current habit so you can consider new ways to prioritize yourself in a way that feels aligned with you, it's guilt-free, and you're also able to show up for your commitments. So does that sound good? Okay, let's get started. So, why does guilt show up? How so? Like, better yet, why does it show up whenever we want to press play and take in a little bit of time for ourselves to just be something just for us? My belief is that guilt often sneaks up on us because of deeply ingrained societal and cultural norms. Think about it. As women, many of us are conditioned from a very young age. We learn how to cook, we learn how to clean, to take care of ourselves, to take care of other people. We're taught to prioritize other people, whether it's our families. When you become a wife and a mom, once you grow up, usually their needs trump your own, or your careers or businesses, where the needs of the people you work for or the clients that you serve, or maybe even the operations of your business overrule taking breaks or slowing down or taking time for yourself outside of work mode. Or if you're a leader in your community and you're doing your best to serve those in your community, making sure everyone else is good, that's when you are also doing that at the detriment of you. You're not taking care of you. It's everyone else first, right? And last but not least, maybe you now have aging parents who are dependent upon you. And so you've now become the parent and everything becomes all about them. All of this before we even consider our own needs. Now, this programming, whether it's external or our own internal messaging, can lead to the belief that taking time for ourselves is selfish, indulgent, maybe having you believe that it's a time suck and you just can't waste precious time. Wow, believing that self-care is a waste of time. And over time, those beliefs become embedded to the point that when you are given the opportunity to even explore the possibility of what life could look for you, if you entertained self-care in some shape or form, that you automatically go to the idea that you don't have time for it, that it's selfish because you have so many other responsibilities. And so what do? You continue on with your life until one day you hit a wall. And you start looking around you and you start hating your life and you start to resent the people in your life because you feel taken advantage of, like they did it on purpose. And your actions could even land you in a burnout phase. Now, for high achieving women, this conditioning that you don't have time for self care, that it's a waste of time, or that it's selfish can really feel even more amplified, because you might find yourself thinking, if I take time for myself, am I neglecting my responsibilities? Or better yet, you say it this way: if I take time for myself, I am neglecting my other responsibilities. Or what will others think if I say no, or I set a boundary around my time and energy? I believe a lot of these thoughts stem from societal expectations that equate self-worth with productivity and self-sacrifice as a badge of honor. And as women, I've spoken with many women, I know that this is something that we, I don't know if I would say struggle with, but we do grapple with this idea of what does it mean to be that person that is giving? And is it at the self-sacrifice of our, like, is it sacrificing ourselves in the process? But here's the reality. Guilt often comes from misconceptions about what self care really is. It isn't selfish. I truly believe that it's the foundation that allows you to be your best self for the people and the responsibilities that matter most. When you're constantly running on empty, though, and you're skipping meals, whether that's doing that or whether you're sacrificing your sleep, or you're saying yes to too many things that stretch you so thin, and you're depleting your own reserves, you're also making it really hard for you to show up not only for yourself, but for others as well. So here's a few examples of neglect that I want to run by you, because maybe this is something that you can relate to. So let's say you skip your workout or your personal downtime because at work, a colleague of yours or a client needs something last minute. And you do this maybe because you're a yes person, or you're a people pleaser. You do not want to be seen as a non-team player. You want to keep everyone happy, even at the expense of yourself. Or maybe you overwork yourself, right? You feel obligated to prove your worth. Maybe you're starting out, you started a new career, maybe you started a new business, maybe you're expanding your business or shaping it in a whole new way. And now you feel you have to prove your worth, even when it means sacrificing rest or personal joy. And so then you find yourself in a reality where your life revolves around your job or your business, and it feels like you don't have a life. That was me. I can totally relate to this because I felt back in 2017 that my life revolved around my job. But I also took it a step further. I felt off, and I felt that if I kept going at the pace that I was going to be in the ground, 6 feet under within a year. And so it's pretty scary when you hit that rock, when you hit that wall. And coming back to the idea that saying no is bad, right? People think no is bad. So you avoid saying no to requests or setting those boundaries around your time and your energy, worrying that it's going to upset other people or make them think that you're unreliable. So these types of behaviors are most likely coming from a place of guilt, because maybe sometime in your past you were made to feel like you were unreliable, or you felt that you got passed over for an opportunity because you believed you were thought of as someone who couldn't be counted on. But really, I have found that the way we react to things often results in exhaustion, frustration, and even resentment. And even if that is from external things from our past, because a lot of the times when you look at your past and you start to really dig, because the clues are there, I promise you, you start to dig deeper, you start to notice like, oh, the reason why I feel this way is because I just remembered something happened to me in my past that has made me feel this way, that made me feel this way then. And I didn't realize that it has been influencing my whole life to this point that now when something happens, for example, maybe, someone said that you were unreliable. So now that was just their opinion, because they were looking for you to say yes. And they didn't want to take no for an answer, or not right now for an answer. So they labeled you as not unreliable, and you took that at face value. And now in all of your interactions now, you're afraid to say no, because that means that they were right. So this is something for you to think about. And when you operate from guilt, again, this is another thing. When you operate from guilt, it's like trying to pour from an empty cup. It's unsustainable. And if you for a sec can imagine holding a cup under a faucet, and you allow the water to fill it, if you don't turn off the tap, what happens? It overflows, right? Because it's not able to hold more than what it was designed for. It's the same for you. We weren't designed to keep going like the Energizer Bunny without replenishing our energy stores. And if you keep serving and never taking time to refill your cup, you will eventually start pouring from your reserves until you have nothing left. And that's when, most often, I have found that burnout shows up. I've experienced that, and so have many of the women so many of the women that I have had the privilege of talking to about burnout, that they have said this is what's happened to them. So think about this. Have you ever felt guilty for taking time for yourself to recharge just for you? What would it look like if you could prioritize yourself without that guilt weighing you down? Like, imagine what that would feel like. Which brings me to my next point: reframing self care from being a waste of time to an essential investment. When you shift your mindset from thinking of self care as selfish to seeing it as necessary, it opens the door to not only improving your well being, but it also enhances everything you do, from your work to your relationships and your ability to handle life's challenges. So I want to break this down. When you prioritize self care, number one, you gain focus and clarity. Because when you take time to recharge, that allows your mind and your body to reset, which can improve your ability to solve problems. You feel more rested, right? Which, again, as I said, it can improve your ability to solve problems, make decisions, think creatively, and imagine starting your workday feeling grounded and clear instead of scattered and overwhelmed and exhausted. That clarity translates into more productivity and less stress. Number two, you're more emotionally available for loved ones. When you've given yourself space to rest and recover, you show up for your family and friends with more patience, empathy, and presence. So instead of feeling stretched thin, you're able to connect on a deeper level because you're not running on empty. And number three, you increase your patience and energy for challenges. Self-care builds emotional resilience needed to handle life's inevitable ups and downs, whether it's a tough project at work, a family emergency, or simply navigating a hectic day. Taking care of yourself equips you with the strength and calm to face those moments with grace. Let me share a story to illustrate this for you. I once worked with a client who, like many of you, was juggling a demanding career, family obligations, and her personal goals. She believed self-care was a luxury she couldn't afford until she started experiencing the signs of burnout, which is irritability, lack of focus, and constant exhaustion. And to go a step further, really not being available for her family. And she's married. She has two young boys, and she was just finding that she didn't have time for them. And that's just a reality that she was faced with. She didn't have clear boundaries around her time when it came to her cake business. And so she often found herself getting last minute cake orders that had her working into the wee hours of the next morning. This wasn't a sustainable lifestyle for her. Again, as I said, she has two young boys who at the time were seeking solace and comfort from her sister at the time, that left her feeling guilty and sad because she felt that she wasn't making time for them. She wasn't being a good mom. And yet she wasn't making time also for herself so she could show up fully, not only for herself, but for her family. What I mean by that is that because her clients became used to her allowing for last minute orders, that meant she had to drop everything, even break plans, so she wouldn't miss out on business. In our work together, we looked at a few things. First, it was important that she had to really organize her client list so that she knew what she was dealing with. Second, having that list allowed her to see what events were coming up for her clients so she could reach out to them ahead of time for her repeat clients, so that it gave her and them time to prepare for the upcoming event. Third, she then learned to use her calendar as her friend, deciding on which days she wanted to work, putting in an order process plan so that her clients knew that they had to put their orders in days in advance, so she could stop the last minute orders, stop working into the wee hours of the next morning, so she could stop waking up feeling exhausted and be more present for her family. And fourth, as she had this new business process in place, she was able to then start carving out time for herself to fill her cup as well. And then be able to carve out time with her family to go on picnics, to go to the park, to spend time with her kids, talking about their hopes and their dreams. They started coming to her for the support that she wanted them to, which it made her feel really good. And by taking care of herself, her marriage began to thrive because she took care of herself, which allowed her to show up as the best version of herself in her marriage. So her family really, because she did the inner work for herself, her family benefited from it. The results were transformational for her, right? She told me that taking even small pockets of time for herself made her more patient with her children, more focused, during her workday and less reactive in high-pressure situations. She also realized that by taking care of herself, she was better equipped to take care of everything else and show up as the mom she always saw herself as being. So as you think about your current lifestyle, how do you feel when you're well rested and recharged? Are you had those moments, those days where you've gotten up and you said, "Wow, I feel so amazing and what a great sleep I had." Are you getting enough sleep so that you're not waking up exhausted the next day? Like, what's your day routine? Like, do you have the hard stop at the end of your day so you're not working late and then falling into bed and having a hard time shutting your brain off? And what might change if you actually allowed yourself even 15 minutes a day to focus on your well-being, starting with like at least one thing to start? Like I said, one shift. When you reframe self-care as an essential part of your life, it actually starts feeling like an indulgence, and it starts feeling more like a commitment to you, to your success, to your relationships, and to your peace of mind. Which leads me to my final point. Start small. Set clear boundaries around your time and energy. Reframe your view of self-care from selfish to essential, and actually celebrate yourself by acknowledging when you take time for yourself as a win, because we have these to-do lists, and I'm sure you can relate. We have to-do lists, the tasks we decide for the day, for the week, for the month, for the quarter, for the year. And we often will get to our tasks and we'll check them off and mark them off as done and move on without taking time to actually celebrate. And it really can feel overwhelming. So as I said, start small, because it is easy to feel overwhelmed by the idea of making time for yourself. And I get that, especially when your schedule already feels packed. And that's why I suggest that you start with just 5 to 10 minutes a day. Starting small, like use that 5 to 10 minutes to do something that recharges you, to even like taking a quiet walk, like a mindful walk, and just paying attention to what's going on around you, or keeping a journal, like and writing your thoughts out each morning, getting all of the good and the bad out onto paper so you can actually see what you're carrying around with you, and freeing up your brain space. Or you can simply sit in silence and focus on your breathing. Small, consistent action over time builds momentum that can become habit. And think of this as laying the foundation for bigger changes down the road. So, like, what is a small moment that you can claim for yourself today? Starting today, finding, as I said, starting small, making one shift, allow yourself 5 to 10 minutes. If that means getting up 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes earlier than you normally do, so that you can get in that time, make yourself a priority, because you will thank yourself for it. Like, maybe you might not think that right now, but as it becomes habit and you start doing this and you start seeing the results, because you start feeling better, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the results, because it is a feeling first and it comes from the inside out, and then you start to see the results. You will thank yourself for it later. You will start to say, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize just how beneficial this was for me." The second one is to set clear boundaries around your time and your energy. So important. Protecting your time and energy requires setting non-negotiable time for you to recharge as well, so that you're not always in the doing, but you're allowing yourself to just be in the being. Like, we often think that we have to fill every single moment of our day with doing things in order to be seen as productive, in order to feel like we've done something. But do you have to fill your entire calendar? I always recommend that, when I say to people, put self-care on your calendar first and then leave white space open after you've filled in other things. Leave some white space for just being, for whatever you want it to be for. And then you can actually put in something there if you feel like it or not. And you take extra self-care time. These are blocks of time during your day where you prioritize you. For example, maybe you consider starting your day with a morning routine that includes reflection, or ending your workday at a set time without checking emails, voicemails, text messages, or social media after a certain time of the day. Boundaries are not about shutting out people. It's not saying that you're not approachable, or reliable. It's creating that space for you to recharge and focus so that you can show up as the best version you in this every situation in your life. So you might ask yourself this question: are there times in my day where I could set clearer boundaries to protect my time and energy? Because if you look at your calendar, maybe you are overloading it to the point where it's exhaustion or overwhelm. And maybe some of those things on your calendar really don't belong. And maybe some of those things in your calendar are there because you want to feel like you have to fill your day to be busy, to feel productive. But is it really moving the needle the way that you want it to? So think about that. Number 3, communicate your needs. So important. Often guilt stems from misaligned expectations. If the people around you don't understand your intentions, it's really easy to feel pressured to meet their demands instead of prioritizing your own. Plus, they can't read your mind. So if you don't tell them what you need, how are they supposed to know? Right? So my suggestion for you is to share your goals for self-care with your loved ones, even with your work colleagues. For example, you might let your family know that you're going to take 15 minutes every time after dinner to decompress, or you might let your team know that you're going to respond to non-urgent matters the next day or at a later time in the day. It's allowing yourself to be able to prioritize you, to allow other people to understand and not feel like out of the loop and trying to figure out like what's going on with you, but instead you're communicating your needs. And it reduces misunderstandings. It helps other people to respect your time. Plus, it could be a teaching moment from you to them that self-care matters for them just as much as it does for you. So you might ask yourself, have I shared my intentions for self-care with those who might be affected by it? Meaning, have I shared my intentions that self-care is important to me so I can show up as my best version self? And that also it's important for them too. So how can they actually incorporate time and space into their day to pour into themselves? Number 4, you want to reframe the guilt, because guilt often arises from the belief that taking time for yourself is selfish, right? So instead, you want to reframe this way of thinking by reminding yourself that self-care is an act of love, not just for you, but for everyone in your life. When you're well rested and you're centered, you're more present, you're more patient and effective in all areas of your life. And it's not about neglecting others or neglecting your responsibilities. It's about ensuring that you can show up as your best self for those things, for all of it. So how can you reframe your thoughts about self-care to view it as necessary instead of indulgent or selfish? Right? Think about that. And finally, celebrate your progress. Change doesn't happen overnight, and building new habits takes time. However, I encourage you to celebrate the small ones, whether it's taking 5 minutes to breathe, saying no to an extra commitment, or maintaining a boundary you set, and acknowledge these moments as signs of progress. Gratitude and self-acknowledgement reinforce the habit and make it easier to stick with over time. And finally, keep track of your wins, even the smallest ones, and reflect on how they make you feel. Again, it comes down to how you feel. It really does. You know, a lot of the time, these are 3 questions that I ask myself whenever I'm getting ready to make a decision about something. Because if it's not in alignment, these questions are going to help me answer that. So when I see an opportunity or someone asks me to do something, or if I'm interested in something or that I'm looking at to perhaps take a program or some kind of workshop or a challenge, I ask myself, in this moment, what do I need? And then how do I feel? And does this opportunity, whatever that is, align with my goals, align with where I'm at in my life, and does it serve my greater good? Because when you can answer those questions based on the decision you're trying to make, it helps you to then start putting things on your calendar that are not just busy work, but actually are things that really light you up, that can move the needle forward, helping you to achieve the things that you're trying to achieve. So, as I said, next time, keep track of your wins, even the small ones, and reflect on how they make you feel. And ask yourself, like, when was the last time I gave myself credit for taking time for me? Because sometimes we don't even do that. By starting small, communicating your needs, and celebrating your wins, you're going to create a sustainable approach to prioritizing yourself without the guilt. These practical steps allow you to honor your needs while still fulfilling your commitments to others and to your responsibilities. Which brings me to the time commitment piece, because I know many of you right now watching might be thinking, I don't have time for this right now. It's the end of the year. I'm trying to meet specific milestones before 2024 wraps up. So adding anything else feels impossible. Here's what I want to say to that. When we decide that self-care isn't a priority, we're unintentionally telling ourselves that we're not a priority. So let's take a moment to reflect on this together. I really do completely understand when life feels overwhelming. It's hard to imagine adding something else to your plate. But let's take a step back and look at this together. Think about your current schedule. Hypothetically, let's say you're spending 60 hours a week on work and related tasks. For example, your back-end tasks might be things like your emails, your voicemails, your text messages, your scheduling, your invoicing, managing projects, troubleshooting, and planning content, right? And then your front-end tasks might be things like your client work, your marketing, your lead gen, your community building, public speaking, maybe creating workshops or webinars. How much of that time would you say is spent feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or not as productive as you'd like? I'll repeat that question because I know you're probably thinking, okay, hold on a second. I was listening to all of those other things, but actually think about this question and really answer it honestly for yourself. How much of that time would you say is spent feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or not as productive as you'd like? Now let's explore a possibility. Imagine if you could reduce that feeling of stress and overwhelm by even 10%. That would mean roughly 6 hours freed up each week, right? Over a month, that's around 24 hours, essentially an extra day you could use however you choose, because you're not using that time stressing and being exhausted and overwhelmed and all of those things. What could you do with that extra day every month where you're not in this frame of mind? How would that impact your sense of balance, your energy, or even the quality of your time with your family and your friends? Let's look at it another way. If right now you feel like a large portion of your time, let's just say 50%, is spent feeling overwhelmed, drained, or stuck on tasks that don't align with your bigger goals, imagine the shift if you could reduce that to even 15%. That would mean you'd free up a significant portion of your time, right? Well, I can't promise exact numbers. What I've seen with women I've worked with is that learning how to manage time and energy, especially learning to set boundaries that protects their time and energy, prioritizing what matters by looking at their structure as not rigid but freeing because they intentionally use their time and energy to their advantage, can lead to hours regained every week, and also can lead to more clarity around how you're spending your time and energy. This isn't about squeezing more into your day. It's about using the time you already have in a way that's aligned with you, with your goals, with your purpose, with what your why, with the things that you do, being intentional and impactful. And that's where my beta program, the Whole Soul Blueprint, comes in. Starting in January, I'm taking a small group of women through this program, which has been designed to help you take back control of your time and energy by learning how to set boundaries, manage your energy, and align your daily actions with your values. The beta version of this program is a gift that you give yourself, the gift of clarity, balance, and freedom to focus on what truly matters. While I can't guarantee exact results, what I have seen with women I have worked with is that when they implement strategies for time and energy management, they not only regain hours in their week, they also feel more present, less overwhelmed, and more in tune with their personal and professional priorities. So imagine starting 2025 with a clear plan to prioritize yourself without guilt, giving you the tools to approach your life with focus and intention, self-alignment, and emotional resilience. You'd be equipping yourself with strategies and tools that can help you take back control of your time and energy. The potential payoff isn't just in productivity. It's in the freedom and peace that comes with feeling less overwhelmed and more intentional about your life and your work. So if this resonates with you and you'd like to explore whether this program aligns with your needs, I'm inviting you to schedule a complimentary wellness strategy session with me. Because, as I said, I'm taking a small group of women, 10 to be exact, and I want to make sure that this is the right opportunity for you. I do hold myself to integrity in that. I won't say yes to everyone to do it. And the reason why is not because you're not good enough, it's that maybe it just doesn't align with you. And I want to make sure that it does. I want to make sure that it is what you want. So during the session, we're going to dive into where you are on your self-care journey, what's working for you, where you might need that support. It's an opportunity to uncover what's holding you back and begin exploring practical ways to create more balance and clarity in your life. And then we'll also discuss whether the program, it might be the next step for you. So to get your wellness strategy session, just send me a message and I'll send you the link to book your session. And I would really love to help you start this next year feeling more aligned, focused, emotionally resilient, and intentional about your time and energy. So as we wrap up today, remember this. Creating time for yourself is not selfish, it's essential. When you prioritize self-care, you're not only nurturing your well-being, but you're also building the energy and clarity to show up fully for the people and commitments that matter most to you. Addressing guilt starts with recognizing that self-care benefits everyone in your life, including you. By reframing self-care as a necessity rather than a luxury, rather as a time suck, rather as something that's taking you away from doing the things that you want to do, you allow yourself, when you look at it as something that is there as a necessity to support you, that it can positively impact your work, it can positively impact your relationships, your personal fulfillment. So I want to leave you with a simple challenge. This week, take one step to prioritize yourself guilt-free. It could be something small like setting aside 10 minutes to reflect on your core values every morning, maybe writing some things down, carving out like a moment of stillness during your day, saying no to something that doesn't align with your priorities. As I was saying, journaling, getting your thoughts out of your head, because a lot of the time the negative and positive are swirling around in there, and there's all those great ideas, but they're being bombarded by the negativity. So you can get that down on paper and you can weed out the negative from the positive, and that is really helpful. And again, a reminder that if today's discussion sparks something for you, if you're feeling ready to explore what it looks like to create a life where your time, energy, and actions align with your values, I'd love to support you. So if that's you, just send me a message and I'll send you the link to schedule your complimentary wellness strategy session with me. It's your chance to explore how to align your time and energy with what truly matters, because living a life of quality and intention starts with taking the first step. Now, if you're thinking, I just want to know what the beta program covers, all right? Just tell me what it covers. I want you to click, I'm going to put a link in the comments to my Whole Soul Blueprint mini video series, which will give you all the details. And then if you're ready, you want to explore, like if this is a fit for you, message me and we'll hop on a call to see if it's the right fit. So again, like I said, it's not necessarily going to be a fit for you. Maybe as you go through the video series and you're thinking, yeah, no, or maybe you get on a call with me and you're saying, yeah, no, that's okay. There's no hard feelings. But if this is something that you've been putting off and especially because of time and you're saying, I don't have the time for it, would it help you better if you actually learn to manage your time better, your energy better, so that you could say, I actually have pockets of time, not only for my business, for my personal life, for self-care, so that I have quality of life? Wouldn't that feel better? It's just like it's a trade-off, and the decision is yours. Anyways, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Remember, prioritizing yourself isn't just a choice. It's actually a gift that you give to yourself, that you give to your well-being, to your dreams, and those who depend on you. I am really grateful for the opportunity to share this journey with you, and I can't wait to see how you create space for what truly matters in your life. I'll see you next time.